Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond
Oh,
Position podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And we are here with guest Rob Latty. And as I've said in the post, Rob, you are certainly, in my mind, one of the UK's leading mindset coaches, and you work with a lot of bodybuilders, which is potentially, different to other mindset coaches. You actually have that as almost like a bit of a niche as well. But of course, you work with lots of people from single mums to entrepreneurs all the way through, which is very, very cool. And it's certainly, I'm just so grateful, basically, is what I'm going to try and say, that you're joining us today because, of course, it's your time. And I know that everyone joining the webinar today will be super grateful. So thank you, first of all, Rob.
you're welcome. It's great to be here, and it's good to see all these smiling faces here on a Wednesday evening. So thank you guys for taking the time out to join us.
Yeah, for sure. And it's those opportunities, isn't it, to join something where not only are we bodybuilders, we're also humans. And guys, it's something I express a lot when we're bodybuilders. And this is what I wanted to sort of intro with. We're very much like, what have I got to do each day? These are my tick boxes. I am a walking tick box. And sometimes we forget actually we do have feelings, and we can sometimes overlook the work on the mind that attributes to a successful competitive journey. For sure we can, because you've got to get your head down a lot of the time, right? Because there's so much to do. And this is the thing with bodybuilding. We've got lives as well. So whether you're a mum, you've got a business, etc., etc. And something Rob and I actually spoke about when we were on the call, essentially talking about what we would do on this webinar, is that when you listen to something like a podcast or a webinar today or something of that nature, you can sometimes hear a golden nugget and you're like, right, 10 minutes in, that's going to change my life. And then you can sometimes forget that part. And then it's like maybe something will, trigger that for you to remember later down the line. So something I wanted to sort of express at the start was write notes when you listen to podcasts, when you're listening to audiobooks, when you join something like a webinar, and go back to things like that. Because again, remembering that you are a human and your brain, you want to be populating it with, and Rob and I will talk about this on the call, populating it with, do we say positive or good, or because not everything's positive, but populating your brain with the right stuff can sometimes bring you out of these places when we find that we're in that darker spot in life, for sure. I don't know if you want to add some context there, Rob, for what we spoke about as well.
No, I think you've covered it really, really well. Ultimately, do you know what? In life, it's all about perspective. So you'll get what you search for.
Mhm.
So it's always good in sport, whatever you're in. And today, obviously, we're talking about a lot about bodybuilding. But I work, as you've said already, with loads of different people in different sports as well. It's always the same, so you get what you search for. So it's how do we keep our minds positive? How do we keep ourselves positive? How do we stay on the right track? Because there's so many things, especially in this sport, to get us off track. And what we do then is utilize these things once we've got those tools, utilize them so we can focus on ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. So we can just do what you're supposed to be good at, which is just pushing weight, right? That's it. And then all the other things that get in the way, like relationships, interpersonal relationships, not just your relationship, but friends, family, everybody, money, finances, jobs, work, careers, everything else on top of trying to be the best bodybuilder you can be. It's very, very tough. So what we want to do is sort of learn how we can control our brain so that we're uber focused on what we're trying to achieve and get the best out of ourselves because all you guys are capable of much, much more. It's just getting this thing to work in cohesion with you. And once you can do that, you can get that extra 5, 10, 15%, which makes all the difference.
For sure. I feel like as well, it's a relevant point with the work on the mindset, the work on the mind, however you want to frame that. If you can work on that when you're then compromised from the bodybuilding, so the physiological adaptations that take place, and we'd probably say more so in a preparation, right? Maybe back to back shows, if you've done your mindset work when you are more compromised, it's that 5, 10, 15% that can make a difference because your hormones are changing. Maybe if you're using PEDs, there can be some mind alterations there as well. But when we talk about it from a bodybuilding standpoint, if the mind work is done and it's clear, you're populating with the good stuff, what you see on social media, etc., etc., it then almost props you up to be in a better spot when you're physiologically challenged. Would you agree, Rob?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? It's not rocket science. Those people who do the extra, who study this stuff, and those people who want to go the extra mile with this tend to do a bit better. And it's just as simple as that because it's so important. And that's why you see a lot of the world's top sports people across the board engaging with sports psychologists, mindset coaches, all that sort of thing, because they understand the importance of it. It's that simple. And as you know, I've worked with loads of different IFBB pros and helped loads of amateurs become IFBB pros in their journeys. And the work we've done has been invaluable. And that's why a lot of them, the ones that's funny is that those ones have stayed with me like 4 or 5 years. And nobody does that unless there's something beneficial. So they understand the importance of being able to just be able to just control when their things, well, put it bluntly, when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
You you know, you have a relationship breakup. It can be massively detrimental in the middle of a prep, for example. How about it all? Your cat dies, your dog dies, you know, like I say, relationship breakup, you move house. These are major things that can last almost a year,
Yeah.
and it can really throw you off. So it's important to be able to understand what's going on here and then be able to have a few techniques in place that can help you just circumnavigate those issues that are coming up.
Yeah, I feel like the important part there is as well is the difference between funneling trauma into bodybuilding, which, as you guys know, I've done for a multitude of years. I'm a professional at that because I feel like it almost got me through the preps, right? And pushing to the nth degree, back-to-back seasons, etc. So there's that difference between funneling all of these things into bodybuilding or utilizing bodybuilding as the positive, the structure, everything we can gain from it, and really seeing bodybuilding for what it is. If you strip bodybuilding back, it's nutrition, it's training, and then obviously you've got the competing, you're using supplements. All of the actual principles of bodybuilding are very positive for everyone. But then, of course, you've got the extreme nature of competing, but if you do face a high level of trauma and that means you need to reroute, actually going back to, okay, what are my principles of bodybuilding? What can I gain from this each and every day? Because I don't know about you guys, but every time I tick a box, I get a sense of, even in the depths of prep when I'm fucked, I'm like, I've done that fucking cardio. I've done those steps. And it does, it pours back into you doing something for you because that's what we forget. And if we are facing, levels of trauma and something happening, often you've got to be the person for other people, right? Like you've got to put that mask on, you've got to put that brave face on. And that's difficult. It really, really is. And we expect a lot from ourselves because we're
Mm.
bodybuilders, right? We're bodybuilders. We can take on the fucking world. We can do it all. Sometimes you can't, guys. You get these levels of essentially leading towards burnout or, the self-doubt creeping in, all of these things because you're compromised. And me and Rob are going to talk about this. It's like, how do we balance those things? How do we create the physique we desire while we have a life? Because you never know what's going to happen. And a bit like before we hit record, Rob, where we were saying, even when we're not okay, we're okay. But how do we get to that point, if you know what I mean, Rob?
And it's all just going back to what you said there about a life. One of the main things, and I don't know where you guys are all at and who's new and who's been in it a long time, but ultimately it's really important to have a life as well. And it's something I talk to some of the pros about a lot. It's super important to maintain a life because one thing that I see too often with bodybuilders is it takes over everything and it becomes your world. In fact, you become a bit boring, right? And you lose friends, you lose people around you because all you're talking about is how many freaking calories you've had that day, how much grams of protein you've got in. You've got to get this much sleep, you got to do this, you got to, and for the average person, it's dull, But it can have an adverse effect on you as well. And it's important to I don't know, go out bowling with your mates and have a laugh, or go to, whatever. You don't mean going out getting pissed and having a rave up, but you can do other things. And it's important to remember that, because that really helps you, and it massively helps just lower your cortisol levels and really calm you down, which helps muscle growth. It aids muscle growth. So it's really important on a mindset level to be able to just I posted about this today, actually, about filling your own cup. And it's just important that you do that. And one of the things I talk a lot about to people is how many times, in a week do you have a nice bubble bath and just chill for like an hour, topping it up, and maybe have your phone on the side and watch some crap like on Netflix, some mindless stuff that you can just switch off, watch it, and just really pamper yourself and relax, and then get an early night, because you feel like a god if you do that a couple of times in a row. It's amazing how much you do when you get a couple of good nights sleep in a row and you've pampered yourself a little bit. It's amazing how different you feel and how much more you can do in the gym and everything else. So, but we forget this. We start going down this tunnel of, I've almost got to be in pain to do it right.
Mhm.
And you just don't. You don't. Most of the top pros really aren't in as much pain as I see with some of the newer amateurs. So,
Yeah.
because they've understood now what their body really needs, and most of it is rest. So
Yeah.
it's really important to just get that balance.
For sure. Beth and I speak about this a lot, experiencing joy and looking for that. And that can be tied into your bodybuilding as well. Because as you know, guys, I'm a bodybuilder, it's certainly my thing, and it does take a large majority of my life. However, going out dancing, laughing till you're in stitches, these things, they're so good for you. But that could be experienced while, if you go out dancing like Beth does, with her friends on a Saturday night, right, we're clocking up steps here, guys. Beth's in a prep. She's got a step target. Okay, so that's going to attribute to my goals. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to let off steam. These types of things we can absolutely look at even in a prep scenario. And it doesn't have to be dancing, it can be something else. But like Rob said, a bubble bath or recovery. Recovery is so underrated. However, I feel like in the space, as you say, Rob, people are clocking onto it and it's becoming a bit more of a pillar of what a successful bodybuilder is when you look at recovery. But you can, go and have a sauna and put an audiobook on, or whatever it is.
Mm.
And that feels joyful. Now, also, when you tie it into what you need to do in a prep, guys, I say it a lot. Get off on it, right? Get on that stepper and go, I'm here. I am here. Every step counts. And try and experience that as like a cathartic almost joy rather than, oh, I'm suffering. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. As Rob's saying, if you're a bodybuilder and you're doing this every day for a large portion of time for a prep, if you're hating large portions of this, what's that going to do to your mind? Maybe you could expand on that, Rob.
Yeah, it's massive. And it's going to be, there's so much I could say on this topic. And when I work one to one with people, we go deep on this. But in the brain, you've got millions of neurons, but there's different parts of the brain that do different things, as you know. And in your subconscious mind, there's an area of it, a small part of it, which basically it's like a receiver. Your subconscious isn't like your conscious mind. The conscious mind is what you're using right now, and you're quite awake. It's your awake mind is your conscious mind, and you're taking all this information in, and you're totally aware of what's going on. Your subconscious is a receiver, and it's subconscious, so it's like, think of like a submarine. It's underneath, it's enclosed, it has no access to the outside world whatsoever, and all it does is receive the information that you're sending down to it right now. You're listening to me, you're thinking about the information, you're analyzing what I'm saying based and predicated on what you've done in the past and what you've experienced from being a child to now. And then you're interpreting what I'm saying, and then surreptitiously you're storing it in your subconscious as fact. Now, you're all taking in the same information, but you're all storing it differently, predicated on your past and your backgrounds, right? And some of the information that you hear today, you may store incorrectly. You may attribute a meaning to it that's not actually true for yourself. It may be a negative meaning. right? And once you store it in your subconscious, it becomes fact. And that's what you live by. And what Sarah was just saying is true. So, how you talk to yourself is massively important because your subconscious just stores it as fact. It doesn't. And remember, you are run by your subconscious, not your conscious. I'll say that again. You are run on a daily basis by your subconscious, not your conscious. And it's a real hard concept for people to get this because you're awake all day and you think you're in control. You're making decisions and you think they're your conscious decisions, but they are, but they're based on the past and you're doing it unconsciously. So I don't want to go too far with this because I'll lose you, but ultimately, your subconscious runs. It'd be great if your conscious run you because you wouldn't need me, you wouldn't need psychologists, you wouldn't need counselors because consciously we all know what's right and what's wrong, right? Consciously, you all know it's not good to eat fatty foods, every day because it'll kill you in the end. We all know we shouldn't really have a cheeky glass of a big glass of red every
Yep.
single night. Keep showing the water bottle. That's
Sometimes.
better for the image, really. I shouldn't have give away the behind the scenes. But smoking, we know it's bad for us, but we still do it, right? So it's consciously, if we was run by our conscious minds, none of us would do any of that.
Mm,
But we're driven by our subconscious desires and wants and needs, right? So that's why we do it. Now, when you say things, to use Sarah's example, when you're on the stepper and you're going, oh, for fuck's sake, I freaking hate cardio, blah, blah. And it's almost a bodybuilder's phrase, I hate cardio, right? Um, but when you do that, you consciously are conditioning yourself. And you're conditioning yourself for one, to make it even harder, for two, to really hate the experience, but also just by thinking it, you release more cortisol and other negative chemicals as well.
mm,
And you're really fighting against yourself then because you're making it harder for yourself to achieve what you're trying to achieve by being on the Stairmaster in the first place.
mm,
So it's better to have good thoughts. And I know that's difficult, but with practice, you'll be surprised how easy it can be. You just have to practice it because all the thoughts you've had up to now that have made you who you are, whatever behaviors you've got, whether good or bad, are learned behaviors. You wasn't born with anything that any of you lot do now.
mm.
You wasn't born with it. In fact, you were born a clean slate. There's only two things we're actually born with, which is a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling, believe it or not. I've actually tested this with my little daughter, so I know it's true. Don't tell anybody. But so everything else, we're a clean slate, and you learn from your parents, from school, from teachers, from everyone around you. And then you get older, and some of you think you're crap at running, some of you think you're rubbish at this, some of you think you're good at cooking, some of you think you're not good. It's all learnt behavior. So if it's learnt behavior, you can unlearn that behavior. But you tell yourself that narrative over and over for long enough, it becomes real. And there's pretty much nothing you can do about it without actively trying. So you think that that's just something in your genes. Oh, I'm just no good at that. I never have been. I've just because you lost a race at school or something.
Yeah.
So you think, oh, I'm no good at that. People often say throwaway comments like, I'm crap at maths, or I'm no good at English, or I'm no good at this. It's a load of rubbish. Your brain is capable of some amazing things if you practiced and practiced and practiced. Okay. So it's the same with exercise, whether it's Stairmaster, whether it's doing whatever part of training. If you keep telling yourself it's horrible and you don't like it, guess what? It's going to be a lot harder, and your body will not grow in line with it as good as it could do if you was fueling it with positive thoughts and positive input. So
Mm,
it's worth practicing doing that because your subconscious, remember, it's a receiver. So the easiest way to think of it is that's how I describe it. I try not to use any big words because it's actually part of the reticular activating system, and there's nodes of rambia and axons and plexus going on in there. I don't use any of that because people glaze over and it was they're
Yeah.
just like,
What are you talking
I
about?
don't even know what you're on about. But I just say, think of it as like something underneath, something hidden, and it's a receiver from you receiving what's in your conscious mind, what you're sending down to it. So send it what you want, not what you don't want. And it just takes practice because it's really easy to slip into negative self-talk. But just say, listen, you know, what I always say, the easiest thing to do, we'll use the Stairmaster as a good example. The easiest thing to do, and I do this like with runners, we always talk about, say, running a 10K or whatever it is. But Stairmaster, the easiest thing to do is focus on the end game, not on what you've got to do. So by that, what I mean is tell yourself going into it, oh my God, I am going to be so chuffed at the end of this because I know how much it's going to have burnt off me, or how much weight I'm losing, if that's what you're after, or how much fitter I'm going to be when I do it, or how much better my thighs are going to be, or my glutes, or whatever it may be. I just can't wait till I finish because I know that that's going to be in the bag. I'm so excited to get this done. And then you go into the exercise. Then through the exercise, when it starts hurting, you say, oh my God, if it's hurting this much, my word, that means it's doing some good shit to me. I
Yes.
can't wait to get the results from this. And
Yeah.
it seems weird because it's easier just to say, holy fuck, I hate this shit.
Mm, mm,
Right? But all it is learned behavior. You've learned to say that when you're in pain, but you can teach yourself to say something super positive when you're in pain. It just comes natural to me now because I do a lot of running now. I've kind of slowed down my weight training and stuff. But when I'm running and I'm in pain and I'm doing a 25K or a 20K or a half marathon, whatever, I just reframe it and I just talk about how my VO2 max, my ability to break down oxygen and get faster without feeling more tired is super cool. Or even more geekily on Strava, I look on it and I go, oh my God, I can't believe my heart rate is here when I'm running this fast. When before my heart rate used to be like 180 at this speed, whereas now it's only 150. That means I'm getting fitter. So the more pain I'm in, the fitter I'm getting. So I go faster. And that's what you can do. It's the same thing, but you've just got to reframe what the pain means. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined.
mm, mm,
Remember that because it's so important. If you remember probably nothing else today, remember your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So you can blag it at first
mm, mm.
and it will take it. It's no different to people who are scared of snakes or spiders or something. I've had one lady who literally, if it was on TV, she couldn't touch the TV screen if there was a snake or spider on there. Even though you're telling her, look, um, intellectually that there's a TV there, don't you? And that there's nothing there. I just can't, and she has to leave the room, and she physically starts sweating,
Yeah.
right? And she flushes, goes really red up her neck, and she starts getting clammy hands and everything, just seeing a spider on TV. Now, that reaction is where the brain gives a physical and tangible reaction to an imagined event.
Mm,
So your brain will give you a physical and tangible reaction to an imagined event. That's why you can think back to a partner of 8 years ago and still feel sad
mm, mm.
because they've let you down.
Yeah.
But it's not even real anymore. It's 8 years ago, it's history. But as soon as you think it, your brain just sends chemicals to the same place in its subconscious that remembers that pain. And it will give you a physical and tangible reaction. So it could be tears, it could be palpitations, it could be an increase in heart rate, anything. So that shows your subconscious doesn't know the difference between something that's real and really happening or something. That's why you cry at films. Intellectually knowing that somebody shouted cut, go for it, or action, and you know it's a load of rubbish, but when the two people get together at the end and you're like, oh, it's so sad, it's so lovely, and we cry because the subconscious doesn't know the difference. Consciously, though, you're like, it's a film. It got made 20 years ago. In fact, half the actors are dead. But you're still crying at the film. Why? Because your subconscious doesn't know the difference. Now, once you understand that concept and you play a few of those kind of analogies around so that you really understand it, you can then use it to your benefit by telling yourself things, almost making a film of what you want in life on a daily basis. And the more you do it, after a while, your brain doesn't question it. It becomes part of your subconscious because your conscious mind sends it down to the subconscious, and your subconscious then stores it as what?
Fact.
At least one of you is listening.
Yeah.
Stores it as fact, right? And once you can do that, you can change lots of things in your life. You can change your finances, you can change relationships, you can change how you are in social situations, you can make yourself more confident. There's lots of things that I do with people, but basically, it all stems from being able to shift perspective and reframe things a little bit. And that change in mindset that most people want comes from a change in perspective, the way you see things.
Mm,
Okay. And it's all about changing the way you ask. Because what most people do is they want answers to questions, right? Whereas most successful people don't want the answers to the questions. What they're looking for is to ask better questions.
mhm,
Most of us just want answers, but it's not that. Ask better questions because you're talking to your subconscious. So you ask it what you want and it will try to give you it. So
mhm.
instead of saying a good example, I saw a few of you glazing over there, sorry. Instead of saying, oh, why aren't I as good as that person? Or why can't I bring my biceps up like that person? Or why can't I bring up my legs like that? Why aren't I as good as them? Why can't I do this? Change it. And instead of asking that question, because it's a negative question, if you say, why aren't I as good as that person? Your brain will tell you every negative you've already told yourself in the past. Oh, well, you're just not, you're crap, you're just not as good, you're fat, you're thin, you've no muscle, you're this, you're that, you're ugly, you're that, you know. But if you shift the question and ask a better question, which is what a lot of the world's top sports psychologists now work on teams with, changing the way they talk to themselves. The mindset guy who worked with Man United Football Club, who's trying to help them change their thing now because they've been crap for 10 years, is doing a lot of this, getting them to change the way they speak to themselves by asking a different question. So instead of saying, why am I this? Why can't I do that? Why am I not as good as that? They change it and say, how can I be better at X?
Mhm.
How can I improve this? What things are in my control that I can do to bring my thighs in?
Mm, mm,
And then the brain, because it can't think of anything else, it has to just go and try and find the answer. And it will look for people, resources, the things to help you achieve that. But if you go the other way, it will look for the people, the resource, things to prove you right.
mm.
I'm no good at that. I'm no good at maths. You know, and the next time someone says, "Oh, I don't know, you're at a shop or something, or someone's selling you a couple of things," and they go, oh, it's £2.40 for that, 11.40 for that, and £13.10 for that, and you go, um, hold on a minute, I'm rubbish at maths. I need my calculator.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you do, if you took a minute and just went £13.10, £2.40, you'd be able to work it out.
Mhm.
But once you say that, your brain will not even be able to work that out at all. Once you say I'm no good at maths, it will shut down and not even try to find the answer, if that makes sense to you. But
Yeah.
once you tell yourselves, I'm not actually bad at maths, I'm actually quite good and I can improve all the time with more and more practice, the brain will just shift and it'll start saying, oh, I can work that out.
Don't.
So ultimately, there was a lot of information given there. I'm sorry, I went
I
a
know,
bit
no. It's,
too deep in one go, but it's very, very important that you understand how you speak to yourself has a massive impact. And you've probably seen things like this on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And things that people post and little sayings and stuff. But a lot of people hear it and it goes over their head because they hear it a lot. But once you start to study a bit more about how that works, it's huge and it can make massive, not little, big differences to what you're trying to achieve in all areas of your life. Like I said, interpersonal relationships, jobs, careers, business, um, and your chosen sport as well. So it's really important to try and change your narrative because you'll all be able to probably put your hand up and say the things you moan about most. Some of you, it might be weight. Some of you, it might be the training. Some of you, whatever it is. And you know that there's something that you constantly say from today on, just cut that out because it's not serving you at all.
Yeah, but honestly, guys, like this is, and obviously this will be released as a podcast as well. It excites me so much because, and when we relate this to bodybuilding, I'm sure many of you have been or are at points where it's like, I look like shit. I'm not going to be ready for my show. I hate my body. As Rob said, my thighs won't come in. Whatever it is. I was there for many, many years. And I had this, like Rob said, you can let it go today. Because I had this like epiphany and I was like, why the hell am I bodybuilding if every single day I'm slagging myself off? Answer me that. What is the point in me doing this? Something that I'm framing as my life, that I'm passionate about, that I love, that I can't live without. But yeah, I'm smack talking myself every single day. Every time I get a glimpse in the mirror, every time I walk past someone, what are they thinking? So I've been there. I understand, and it's your mind, and this translate to stage. When you step on that stage and you're thinking, oh, I don't look very good, everyone looks better than me. The best thing you can do is repopulate, like Rob's explaining there. Stay in your lane. When you get on that stage, if you've done everything, guess what? You light it up. And I talk about this all the time. You are the only person there, right? This is your time. And this is what I see in the bodybuilding space far too much. And as I say from personal experience as well, it takes away from what bodybuilding can bring because you're so negative about yourself. And I'm sure Rob can attribute this to the people that have turned pro, the people that are still working with him for a multitude of years. It's reframing. I'm going to step on that stage and I'm going to look fucking incredible. I've done the work. I've done the work. This is my time. I'm going to look in that mirror and go, I've still got work to go. Not, I look like shit. I'm going to go and do my thing. I'm going to do my training. I'm going to do my food. I'm going to do my thing because it takes the joy, guys. Like it's like you're in prison. You know what I mean, Rob?
It is, and we're so quick to beat ourselves up though, aren't we, about everything? And even business people, and I work with them, they say that they do the same things in different areas of their business. So I get it. We're conditioned to be that way. In fact, in the UK, we are very much conditioned to complain and to moan. We actually wear it as a bit of a badge of honor, to be honest. It's like if you go to a bus stop, and I talk about this a lot with clients, and I use this as an example. If you go to a bus stop and you meet strangers there, what's probably the first thing you're going to speak about?
Complain about the weather,
Yeah.
Right?
or
And
complain there's no buses, or
all
just
that,
something
yeah.
to
Fucking
complain
late.
about.
It's late
Or
again.
if you ask them how you doing, it's always not too bad, all things considered. And you're like, okay, awesome. You're already setting your day off as not too bad. How about I'm pretty good? And then it
Yes,
continues
perfect.
from there.
Love that. Absolutely perfect. And it is. And I've even got a list of things that replies to that question when I'm working with clients because there's a thing that I did. I'm not going to get into it now, but basically, when you ask people, how are you, or how's your day, or good morning, you get into the office and you say, they come up with answers like that, and it'll be things like surviving, you know, getting by, you
In the
know,
trenches.
Yeah.
yeah, all of that,
Yeah, CJ.
not too bad, surviving, could be worse. And it's like, Jesus, where we live in war-torn Iraq or something. We're in a first world country as safe as you can potentially be on planet Earth. And people have got all these negative questions and answers. And ultimately, You know, it is a UK thing. We've been brought up on it. Our two favorite programs are Coronation Street and EastEnders.
Oh, don't get me started on that stuff.
I
You
got
know, I've
brought
got
up on
an
that.
American client, and I tell my clients this. He loves watching British programs because they've got a whole channel of it over there. And he says about EastEnders and Coronation Street, he calls it his daily dose of misery, and he loves it. He's like, it's just so funny, and he always makes a joke about the houses there because he says, you know, it's only both of the programs, it's only based on about three or four streets, isn't it? Either way, and he says, house prices there must be like 5 grand. He goes because there's so many deaths and murders and split ups and car crashes and all it. He goes, nobody'd want to live there. They just would. And I just start laughing when he talks because it's true. But we surreptitiously are kind of we're grown up on this. We're brought up on it. Indirectly, you can say, yeah, I never really watch it, but a lot of our stuff is like that. The analogy I use at the bus stop is because it's natural for us to be negative when we meet strangers. What the hell is that all about? That's crazy, right? So we put that onto each other. Another example I always use is a bit ago, I went to the shops and I almost got sucked in myself, where the shopkeeper's on autopilot and he's boop, boop, you know, scanning things through, and people are coming along and they're moaning about the weather. And he's going, yeah, not good weather, is it today? Blah, blah. And he's literally not looking up. He's just got his head down and he's scanning away. New next person comes. Then I come and he's just gone on autopilot. Oh, it's crap weather or whatever he says, rubbish weather again today, isn't it? And I went, yeah. And I had to stop myself because I almost went on autopilot. And I went, well, actually, no, because this year it's been quite good weather for England, hasn't it? We've done all right. And he stopped, he looked up, looked out the window, looked at me, looked back, and went, oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah, it's not bad. It's not been bad. And he carried on. Boop, boop. And that in psychology is called a pattern interrupt. I just interrupted his pattern. He was
Mhm.
just working off a subconscious autopilot path, talking to everyone, saying the same old boring stuff. Everyone's repeating it back to him, conditioning him, and he's conditioning them. And just as we alluded to there, you guys, about going into work and or whatever, talking to people saying, how are you today? And they give those answers. That's what everybody else was doing in the shop. Now, when you do that and then you extrapolate that over years, that's why you can just be a bit more negative than what you should be because it becomes the norm. In fact, in this country, we tend to attack people who are a bit more positive, even if it's in a jovial way. You know, you put something positive on Facebook and someone goes, oh, what's up with you? Have you had some happy whatever today or happy pills or whatever? What are you
Maybe.
so it's like if you're happy, is something wrong.
Mm.
That's how we all get. Now, when you then, on a day-to-day basis, you might say, well, it's not that big a deal, it's okay, and that's fine. But if you're in competitive sport, you can't have that added on top of all the other tribulations that you've got to go through to do well in that sport. So it's really important to try not to get sucked into that kind of mindset and then be able to pull yourself out. And if anything, have fun with it and start practicing pulling the other people out of it on purpose. Because
Yeah,
they don't even know they're in it, remember? It's a bit like the Matrix. They don't know.
yeah,
I
So
call
you
it creating ripples in consciousness. You just put a little drop in, and then you see them, and they're like, oh, and then you might see them in 2 weeks' time, and they'll change maybe
yes,
their approach because they've gone away and thought about it a little bit.
absolutely. Especially if you're like that on a regular basis.
yeah, yeah.
So every time they come across you, you're always positive, you're always upbeat. And they'll start to notice after a while, they'll be like, hold on a minute. Why is
Hmm.
he always... Because people, they often, the famous Mayo Angelou saying is, people don't remember what you said or what you did, but they do remember how you made them feel, right? So if you're around people constantly and you get a buzz off them, and you say, every time I'm around that guy or that woman, I always leave feeling a little bit, just a little bit better. There's something powerful about that. But more importantly for you guys, there's something powerful for yourself. It helps you too, gives you a real good dopamine hit as well. So that helps you and it helps your body as well. It's just a better way to live. And I always say to clients, listen, you've got to think anyway. Every day we're thinking. You've got to think anyway. And there's only two ways of thinking, positive or negative, right? But both take the same amount of energy. So just pick one. Why would you pick negative? The only reason we pick negative, one, our brains are predisposed to do that, but you can control it. And it's just because of conditioning. Like I said, you were born a clean slate. If you was brought up with a really positive, upbeat, motivated, inspirational family, and then
That'd be
you had
nice.
really motivational friends and inspirational friends, and you had that all through school, by now you would be that kind of person. It's just conditioning. It's as simple as that. So look at the people around you. Look at the kind of conversations they're having. If they're the kind of people always arguing on Facebook about Brexit or the politics of what's going on, or I don't know, illegal immigrants and all the rest of it. I don't know. But if you're constantly complaining, you will get sucked in. And it's easy to get sucked in because it's easy to complain about these things. It makes us sometimes forget about our own problems,
Mm.
right? So we do it. But just tell yourself, if you really want to be good at this sport, that's one little thing extra you don't need in your life. Because that's eating muscle, right? It's eating it, literally. So just tell yourself, I don't need this in my life. I'm going to get negativity anyway from somewhere. You can't have a 100% positive life. So why add unnecessary bits in there? So if
Mm.
you want to do better, just be positive and uplifting. And when you go in the gym, be the same with other people. When they start moaning about something like, oh yeah, they've just got to the gym with their bag and they're in the changing rooms and they're like, really couldn't be bothered today. Oh God, this is going to be rare, rare, rare. Just flip it on them
It
and shock
throws them off, doesn't it? It throws people off
them.
because they're like, oh, and I love it. I call it calling out on bullshit. And this also transfers to, and you've spoken there about who you're surrounding yourself with. Dee and I speak about this a lot. You get to points right in your life where you have your people. You're
Mm.
fine. You've got your people, and they're the people that show up. You show up for each other. You complement each other. Even in the hard times, you find the silver linings. You find the light. You get to a point in life as well, Rob, don't you, where it's like I don't actually need anyone else. Although if someone comes along, if they can level up and be part of the tribe or whatever we want to call that, but I'm satisfied here, and you stopped yearning for, I need this, I need this, I need this. It's like, I've got what I need. And there's some, I feel like there's some level of fulfillment in that in regards to then what we are populating our brains with becomes more positive if the people around us are our chosen people. And it's not like, oh, fucking hell, I've got to go and meet that person now. Oh, God, bloody hate them. All they do is moan. You leave feeling worse.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
transfers into who your
Mm.
circle is as well.
Yeah.
What's going in here? That's social media also, but for sure, Rob, you know what I mean there, don't you? Where it's like, who are you communicating with and how are they impacting you? If someone's saying all the time, do you have to do that bodybuilding thing? Meh, 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 meh. It's like, for sure, that could be family members, and it's bloody hard when it is family members. I'm never going to take that away. But there comes a point where it's like friends, family, whoever it is, we've got to be, you've got to be self-aware to go, what is happening here? What effect is anyone having on me in this space, in life and bodybuilding?
Yeah, and it is tough. That's one of the biggest objections I get from people who say, "Well, I can't get rid of my friends and I can't get rid of my family." And I says, "I know, but I'm not saying." And this is where people make a mistake on this when they hear about these sayings like, "You are the sum of the five people you spend most time with," and all that sort of stuff. It's not about getting rid of people. What it's about, you've got your people, and some of them could be really close friends, could be family. So you can't really just say, don't want to be friends with you anymore. You're too negative. Bit harsh. Bit harsh.
He would.
Yeah. Would you? Would you? Go D.
Oh, D.
I, to be fair, I did. But
I've
um,
done it.
you've got this selection of people here, but what you can do is just improve this selection. So all you
Mm.
do is add to this one, and you'll find you will over time spend less time here. That's all that happens. and you just spend more time here, you'll gravitate to that. And that's just what happens. Like people gravitate to like people. That's what they do. So you can just add people. There may be someone at the gym that you see on a regular basis and they seem really upbeat. And you spend a bit more time, and when you're just bumping into people and you like, just say to them, hey, do you fancy doing a session together one time, or do you fancy going out for a drink one time, or do just make new friends, whatever. Just
Mm.
go to different events and meet new people, and you'll find over time, in 6 months, you can really build two or three good different people you can spend time with, and it can change your world. Absolutely change your world. If you get
Yeah.
away from some negative people and you start being around positive people, other things change as well. You can change your financial situation, you could change your work situation, you change everything because just all you've done is shift perspective. And this is why when I work with one-to-ones, we start with perspective. It's the first thing I start with, whoever I'm working with, whether it's business, sports, um, individual relationships, whatever, I always start with perspective because until you can shift perspective, you will always think the same way.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you've got to change the way you think to change your behaviors. It doesn't go the other way. A lot of people try and change behavior by changing behavior,
Mm.
and it doesn't work. Let me just reiterate that because some people people try and change their behavior, their habits, by changing their behavior. And it's doing that is like using willpower. It's very, very difficult. It's very hard.
Mm.
And you've got to then work really hard to maintain that. Now,
Yeah.
what you have to do is change your thoughts, change the way you think. And once you do that, it's very easy to change behavior, but without the willpower. It's just comfortable, it's normal, because that's how you
Yeah.
think. That is what you believe. That is who you are at your core. And there's techniques and ways of doing it, and we haven't really got
Mm.
enough time today, but there's the main easiest way is just repetitive thinking and saying stuff. And a lot of people do get, we've spoke about this before, I think I've spoke about sport with Sarah, but a lot of people get put off with titles, mantras and things like that. And I'd like to think, being bodybuilders, you might be more open-minded about those sort of things. But I get pushback on a lot of, oh, man, especially guys. I'm not.
Good.
Oh, you're telling me I'm going to be better if I go and sit on some rock and hum some mantras or something? Am I going to be better? And I go, well, yeah. To be fair, you will. You'll change your world, change your life. But they get hung up on things like mantras and meditation and all this stuff. They're like, "No, all this woo-woo bullshit. It's just bollocks." Ugh." But what I always say to them, and it's really important, is that you're doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway. It's just a different name. When you catch someone and they're just looking off into space like that, and you go, "Hey, oh, where are you? What you doing?" And they go, "Oh, sorry, I was daydreaming." That's just the same thing as meditating. It's the same thing. You just called it a different name. But meditating is done purposely. Daydreaming, you tend to slip into it by accident and you just find yourself lost somewhere. But it's the same thing. People get caught up and don't do these things because, like mantras, what? I've got to repeat something over and over again. Like that's going to really change me.
Mm.
It will,
Yeah.
because your subconscious doesn't know the difference and it will rewire some of those neurons in your brain. But you've got to do it with an equation I call I times F, intensity times frequency. So you do it a lot. And if you can do it with some intensity, it happens even quicker. Remember what we said. Super important because people will push back when you talk about this stuff. When you were born, you had nothing. And the stuff that's in there now only went in there through repetition. That was it. That's how you learn to talk. That's how you learn to walk. It was just repetition. Your caregivers, your primary caregivers, made you do stuff over and over and over again. I've just done homework with my 7-year-old now, and we're doing the times table, and it's just repetition. That's all. Now I could be doing the same thing with her, but talking about nuclear physics, and she would pick it up. And in a year, she'd be brilliant at nuclear physics. It's just repetition. It's all it is. Look at you guys. How many times when you first went in the gym and everything, you didn't know anything about anything and you're looking at it. But now it's repetition and it just you know what you're on about and you're doing it and you're talking about drop sets and this and that and press behind the neck and oh this that all these buzzwords. And I see people all the time going to the gym now and they're like, oh my God, I just feel intimidated. I don't know any of this stuff. And I know in 6 months' time they'll be coming in with their little ankle thing on, attaching it to something and doing the kickbacks and all that. Repetition. Don't be put off by certain words and phrases that you may not be into because you think it sounds woo-woo or whatever. Your brain is what runs everything in your life. Wherever you are right now in life, even in your sport or in your business or financially, emotionally, is all predicated on you and past experience. And if you want to change any area of your life, you have to start by changing the way you think. Because if your perception of the world is the same, I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, a year from now, you will get the same results. You cannot shift. It just doesn't work. You have to change what's going on the inside before you get the changes on the outside, because you will navigate your way back to similar kinds of relationships. You will do the same things with finances and money that you've always done because you've got a belief about money. There'll be a certain way that you're spending. You aren't suddenly just going to wake up one day and start being a really heavy duty saver unless something comes in your life that you really want that overshadows everything else, like a house or a car, and you suddenly start saving for it. But I guarantee you, once you get that thing, you'll go back to the same habits that you had before.
Mm.
And if you've got no savings in the bank or very little, it's predicated on your beliefs about money and how you've been since you were young. You can't be in your 20s or 30s or 40s and have that and it be an accident. It's habitual. It's what you've been doing for a long, long time. If you want to change that, you have to change the way you think. So re-educate, start by conditioning. I call it, there's a model that we use as a tree when I work one-to-one with people, and the bottom of it is the conditioning. So the conditioning is massively important. You have to change the way you think and what you believe. So with bodybuilding, change the way you think, change the way you approach your bodybuilding, change the way that you approach your training, change the way or your beliefs about dieting and food and your body, because all it's waiting for is you to do the right things and you will change. I don't care if you're an easy gainer, hard gainer, if you're naturally bulky, if you're naturally slim, I don't care what you are. If you do things exactly right that you're meant to do, listen to your coaches, whatever, whoever's working with you, you will make the changes that you need to if you have the mindset and you're strong enough to last the test of time and keep going. Even when everyone else is telling you, oh, I don't think it's for you, I don't think you're any good, or you're putting yourself through all this and you don't seem to be, making any differences, or it'll never happen for you. Listen, I was working with Kerry Sexton. Some of you may or may not know her, I don't know, but and for years, people were telling her, were boo-hooing her all the time, giving her negatives. And we worked through a lot of that sort of stuff. And I saw her go for everything. Her mindset is rock solid 99% of the time now. She is so strong. And a lot of people told her she'd never get a pro card. She got a pro card. Then she just had this dream to get to Olympia. And everyone told her it's just not going to happen. Or a lot of people, should I say, told her it wasn't going to happen. She went through a lot of challenges, a lot of injuries, a lot of training problems, but she just kept focused. And now she's at the Olympia that's coming up. Um, the, if you'd have seen, and I can't even do it justice in this short amount of time, the amount of vitriol that she got and the amount of put downs. But if you see what she went through and the amount of determination, the amount of shows that she just kept going and going and going and going, and it just wasn't happening, but kept going. And now you look at her now and she looks incredible. Um, you would never believe that person from 6 years ago when you look at to this person now is the same person, because she looks that incredible. But that's when you have that self-belief and you change that inner dialogue and shift your perspective, you can achieve amazing things as well.
Mm. And I take you back to when you said you can do that now. You literally can. Like the limiting beliefs we have, the characteristics that we gain over our life, all of the things that can occur. You can literally, and I've spoken about this on solo episodes. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it to myself anymore. And again, with the woo woo, like Rob says, the woo woo of like, I'll be my own hero, I'll do it for me. I need to put myself first. And people are like, oh, yeah, whatever. Who else is going to put you first? Because people will put you first for periods of time, for sure they will. But you've only really got yourself to rely on in this life, and that expands outside of bodybuilding. And whatever your decision is and what your choices are in life, if bodybuilding is what you're pursuing, at least enjoy it. At least enjoy elements of it. Because people say, oh, you only enjoy off season. I mean, I think off season's bloody savage, but you know, it's I'm totaled most days. But it's like, and this is where it's that fine, synergy of cathartic enjoyment because we're all a little bit skewy, right? There's a reason why we're doing this and pursuing it to this degree. So there's that cathartic enjoyment. There's that enjoyment of, wow, I get to do this thing. I get to manipulate X, Y, and Z to achieve my dream physique. Maybe look at yourself 10 years ago and go, Jesus Christ. Who did that? Yes, you've got a coach, perhaps, etc. You did it. Your coach gives you guidance. You did it. Now, from this call, could you in 10 years look back or even in 10 months and go, I've transformed my mind? I've transformed my mind. I sat here on a call, on a webinar with Sarah and Rob on a Wednesday night, and it's quite cold outside because it's the UK, and and something switched.
But
Something.
you can. That's why we work with what we're doing with the SPB, which is your initials, and obviously the movement, which is strong of mind, powerful with intention, and brave in the face of adversity, and you don't give up because it doesn't. And then understanding that when we say for every level there's another devil, is because the devil is yourself, and you've got to harness your own power. Because if you keep putting it out to everybody else, or you keep taking on opinions of everybody else, you won't get anywhere. Like in February, what we were doing with the clothing and stuff and the movement in that respect didn't even exist. It was just an idea that I went home with and discovered the mindset, reinvented it, and that's what we're moving forward. So if there's anything a call that should be brought forward on that, is the mantra's there, and that's why we use it inside bodybuilding and outside bodybuilding, because it applies everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can literally be your biggest hype squad, right? But that also comes with, and we don't ever forget this, call yourself out on your bullshit. Allow
Hmm.
those closest to you to call you out on your bullshit. This is why I don't have a load of friends because I'm not able to just be a yes man. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And the words come out. Maybe I lose friends, right? Not now, I'm in a very fortunate position with my circle, etc. And for me, I need to see people wanting to do that themselves.
Hmm.
Maybe that's a bit selfish or whatever, but it's like show up for yourself, but also if you are doing things and you're going back into old habits or things are creeping back, you're doing it, right? You get to a point where you think, okay, I need to call myself out here.
Hmm.
That can actually bring you joy. You can go, fucking hell, I'm doing that thing again, right? I'm not going back there. I'm calling myself out. I'm calling myself out. I'm gonna move forward. But it is, it
Yeah.
can
May,
happen
may,
so
may I ask a question
yeah.
now?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if we are at the time of Q&A,
Oh, yeah.
but
Go
is
for
there
it.
something that we should avoid when trying to create a mantra for ourselves? Could you tell us some do's and don'ts for mantras?
Yeah.
Because if we craft a bad mantra, well, we could
Yeah.
be doing a lot of damage.
Hey, no, listen, that's is it Lisbeth?
Yes.
That's a great question. Well
Really
done.
is.
Fantastic question because I spend a whole section on this with my one-to-one clients. And there are bad mantras. There are. And there are ways of making them good and a lot more powerful. So it's really important to watch every single word. You know, I've got somebody who's a very good runner who I work with at the moment, and they have two mantras written on their hand when they're running, when they're doing like marathons, and to keep them going when they hit that horrible like 18 to when they're about sort of
18 to
18
20.
to 22 kilometers in, and they're like, fuck, I'm getting about halfway now. I need to dig in, and they look at their mantras. You have to look at every single word because one word, remember, this is important, guys. It's such a good question. Well done.
Yeah.
So, your subconscious mind, remember, doesn't know the difference between real and imagine, and it looks literal. So, if you say, "I will start to save money," I will start to save money. I will start to save money.
Never gonna start.
Not just that you're never going to start, you will start, but when you start, so say next week you transfer 10 quid into a savings account. Your brain has done its job. That's it now. Done.
I've
Because
got
you
10.
said, I will start to save money. And as far as it's concerned, it goes, well, you said start, you know? It didn't, that you've got to be a bit more precise because it will just do what it's told. It's like a taxi. And this is why, again, instead of using the nodes of Rambia and axons and preps and all these proper words for the brain, I come up with different things, and I call this the taxi driver, right? And when you get in a cab, what's the first thing you tell it?
Where you going?
Yeah, destination. Yeah.
Where you going, right? Where you going?
Mhm.
And he takes you there. He doesn't don't pass go, don't collect 200. You know, he doesn't go anywhere else, right? So he goes straight there. He's not interested in anything else. And this is what your part of the brain does as well. It will take you where you want to go, literally. So you have to be careful of every single word. So a good word in a lot of mantras as well is the word always, right? So
Mhm.
that keeps the brain doing it for a long period of time as well. So we're using the money saving analogy. I always save money every time I earn it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So whether you get paid monthly, weekly, whatever, or you make some money ad hocly, the mantra kicks in. I always save every time I earn it, right? Or I always save first every time I earn it because the important thing is pay yourself first. That Robert Kiyosaki said in his famous
Mhm.
book, always pay yourself first. So before you before you pay bills, before you do anything, pay yourself first. So if you're going to save 10% of what you earn every time, pay yourself first. Soon as that money comes in, bang, it goes into an investment account or a bank account, savings account. I always pay myself first. So using that correct terminology makes a big difference because once it goes in that subconscious and it's stored as fact, that's what you will do,
Mm. Mm.
you know? But if you have a mantra that says, I'm definitely going to lose weight, two words, definitely isn't as definitive as it sounds. It's got the word definitely has a hint of maybe not,
Yeah. Yeah.
believe it or not.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
don't even need that word in there. Take it out. Because if you say I'm definitely going to, if I say to you, I'm definitely going to do another one of these for you guys next week, the fact that I have to say I'm definitely doing it means that there's a hint of maybe not.
Like I'm definitely up for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely might do it next week. You know, might do it next, I'm going to do it next week. Just be definitive,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
the other word, going to in the subconscious means absolutely nothing. Going to is like generic. It means nothing. You don't need those filler words. I am this.
I will lose weight.
I will lose weight.
Mm.
I will do this. I will do that. I will go on the Stairmaster twice a week from now on,
No.
every week. That's it. There's no two ways. You made a decision. And once you make a decision, the Latin word for decision is oh, I forgot exactly what it is. Die something. Anyway, it
Take
means
homework.
it basically it means to cut off, to cut. If you look up the Latin word for decision, it's to cut off any other thing. I am doing this. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. So when you make a real decision, that's it. So
Mm,
that's how you have to condition the mind with your mantra that this thing is happening,
Mm. Mm.
right?
mm,
And
okay.
that's it. And it can be anything. I have a thing written on mine when I'm running races. I did the Leeds 10K not long back, and I got a PB there. And on mine just had believe in your body.
Nice.
So when I was hitting the locker, hurt locker, when I was hitting that pain, I just glanced at it and believed in my body, which meant for me, believe in the training that I've done up to now.
Mm.
It will take you through it. You'll get through it when it's hurting.
Mm.
Believe. And every time I looked at it, I just thought, yes, I know I can do this. I know I can maintain this pace because I've done the work. It will happen. The mindset was strong. And I ended up smashing the time that I wanted to beat by over 5 minutes.
Which is a lot in a 10K.
Yeah, in a 10K, it's
Mm.
huge, huge. And I had to go to that dark place to do it. And that's what you guys are going to have to do if you want to achieve anything of note in this game. You have to go to that dark place. And that dark place doesn't mean lifting a PB and doing heavy. You're not power lifters. It means doing the boring, hard stuff. And to me, the boring, hard, I mean, you said there, Sarah, about off season. Off seasons rock.
It's hard.
Off season's hard. Off season plays with your brain. That's when I've
yeah.
had most bodybuilders, especially women in bikini section, complaining about stuff because that's when you put on a lot of size or more size. But that's when your brain plays tricks with you. That's when I've had loads of people complaining about things that I've worked with, about themselves, about how it's summer and they can't dress feminine because they don't feel feminine because they've gone hench and they just feel a bit shit. And it's a mental mind fuck is off
Mm,
season.
And
And
training is hard. Like
yes.
getting after it. If you're serious about this, I mean, bloody hell. y- y- I
That's when you do have to believe in your body because you have to believe that what's going on under the fluff is
yes,
happening.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
happening. It's
I
working.
mean,
Lizzie will
another
be
way.
for this.
Yeah. So, like for myself, I just in my head, I'm gentle when I talk to myself. I'm
Mm,
like, it's gonna be okay. You've done this before. You've got this. Like I replay these kind of gentle,
Mm,
how I speak to myself. This is temporary. This is good. This is serving a purpose. And I kind of replay that over in my head, and that helps me get through. It helps me get through prep, and it helps me get through off season because off season it is hard. It is hard.
it is. And just
Yeah, and
again,
and I think,
remember,
and I'm blessed. I'm in a position where I have got enough food that I
Mm,
can do off season.
I
yep,
I
get
have
you.
got time. I have got money where I can go to the gym. It's that kind of I am actually blessed to be able to do this. I'm not injured. I can do this. So
and
it's kind of
also remember the
shifting.
technique I gave before about focus on the end game. So
Mm,
tell yourself, as long as I keep following the plan, I am going to look amazing. I can't wait to see how great I'm going to look at the end.
Look good.
I'm
yeah.
excited to see. And you've got to use, guys, these big words like amazing, excited, fantastic, unbelievable. Because remember the equation I times F, intensity times frequency.
Mm,
So you understand already, I think, that you've got to say things over and over and over to yourself,
yeah.
but it's the intensity, it's those big words. If you're sat there going, I'm gonna look amazing when I finish It's not going to work. It doesn't work. Honestly, there's a whole section I do in one of my training things. I'll quickly show it. Um, this is a neuron and these are the brain, and I do a whole thing on this. This is everything I'm talking about is scientifically proven. I'm not, one of these mindset coaches that have been a mindset coach for 3 weeks and they've
Feel like bodybuilding coaches sometimes.
yeah, or they've been a PT for 5 minutes. Uh, Listen, I don't like putting people down, but ultimately, I've been doing this for like 15 years, and studied the brain, the mind, and human behavior and how it works and everything. You ultimately think of what I'm saying is think of the end game because the brain works that way. It loves that. It wants something to look forward to. So if you say, oh my God, I can't wait for that. I can't wait. That's what it'll focus on. That's where it'll go. If you focus on now and how hard it is and what you've got to do today and what you've got to go through and the food you've got to eat or not eat and all this other stuff, it's going to be a long, hard road. And it's always a battle. Cortisol's coursing through your veins. You've got all this stuff working against you. It can be so much easier by, like Lizzie said, just by being kind to yourself, saying the things that are working for you rather than against you, right? Because if you focus on the wrong things, guys, you get the wrong results. Okay. So you've got to focus on the right things to get the right results, but you've got to be careful of your wording. You get that right, everything else falls into place.
I love that.
Yeah, Rob, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask also about an alternative thing that we did with Sarah, with my coach, um, because yes, off season had always been really, really hard for me,
Yeah.
because I used to be really, really fat before I started the bodybuilding journey. So off season, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fat again, and that was really playing
Yeah.
very bad games. But last year, I actually had, before I started working with Sarah, I had already booked a photo shoot. And when I started working with Sarah, we realized that the photo shoot was going to conflict with the growth season. So I panicked. I was like, so am I going to do a photo shoot looking fat? And and we worked on that together. And actually, I
You loved
I
it.
started. I loved it. And I basically I started enjoying my bigger body. I started feeling not fat but voluptuous, and I enjoyed so much. I mean, now actually I enjoyed it so much that it was a little bit hard then to get into the prep, because I was like, oh, I'm going to lose my curves. I'm looking so sexy now. I'm going to lose my boobs and I'm going to start looking really skinny. So I'm just going to say that that was also another amazing way of changing my mindset about something that I hated, which was getting fat. I mean, now when I think about the growth season, it's like, I'm going to get, sexy again. I'm going to have curves.
You see,
So,
right?
yeah.
So all you're doing is reframing it, right?
Mm,
That's all you're doing. You're just reframing it. And again, these are buzzwords that some people hate and some people like, but ultimately, that's all it is. You're conditioning the mind, guys. That's all she's done. She's conditioned herself to look at something, excuse me, from a different angle. Remember earlier on when I was talking about asking the right questions? It's powerful. It's there's a whole section in Tony Robbins' book, and I don't know if any of you know who Tony Robbins is, but he's a bit like the guru of what I do. He's a billionaire. He's but anyway, he talks a lot about getting the brain to ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. But if you ask the wrong questions, you'll get the wrong answers. And all she's done is reframe the way she's looking at something that she normally has a problem with. And that's what I've been saying to you guys pretty much since we started. It's about how can I look at whatever is challenging to me and then reframe the way that I see that thing into a way that serves me and doesn't hinder me.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
love
once you can do that, it changes everything for you. It just makes it so much easier
it.
and you'll move on so much faster.
It's like that also being accountable to what you say. Vic and I were, Vic's a client as well. We were talking over voice note earlier, and she was like, "I don't know why I've just told you what I'm doing today," but she spoke about when she's going to do her steps, when she's going to do the gym, and then she was like, "Oh, I do know because now I've told you I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." And when you were talking earlier, Rob, I was like, Vic's essentially done what you've said to do. It's telling yourself, what am I going to do? I'm going to feel good in off season. I'm going to go to the gym. It sounds so basic, doesn't it? Because it's like, oh, why do I need to tell myself what I'm going to do? But then you do the things because you've been accountable to yourself as well. You've allowed yourself to enjoy all phases as a bodybuilder. You've enjoyed doing the gym. You're enjoying eating less or more, like Rob said. You're enjoy. Okay, so I'm actually happy every day. Jesus Christ. And what happens, and all of my clients on the call will know this, when a personal life circumstance comes up, when the bodybuilding serves you, when you're doing the thing, when something comes up, it doesn't tank you fully. Whereas if you're negative about multiple parts of your bodybuilding journey, a personal life thing comes in the mix as well. Guess what? Shit hits the fan and everything's gone to shit because you're not enjoying the foundation of your bodybuilding, which is your whole life. So having that there and enjoying and seeking joy through that, positively reinforcing, like we've said throughout the call, when something comes up, you will handle it better. You absolutely will. And then it turns into, rather than funneling into bodybuilding, bodybuilding is your thing to keep you going sometimes in a positive way, not in a masking way. But so much covered in this call, guys. Like I feel
Yeah.
like we could actually do the
Hey, and remember, guys, these are transferable skills. This isn't just bodybuilding. You can use
yeah.
these for all areas of your life, and it can change, honestly, your whole situation just by reframing the way you see things and your thoughts, and just deciding, remember that decision to cut, and just making a different pathway for yourself, making a decision and saying, right, from tomorrow morning, I no longer am doing X, I am doing
Mm,
this, and being good to yourself, having boundaries. That's another thing I work on a lot with clients, setting boundaries and just
mm,
sticking to them and being kind to yourself. Because when you set those boundaries, every time you say no to someone and you just say, nah, I'm not doing that anymore, you're being kind to you and you are giving yourself self-worth, self-love. And that self-worth is important. And what you're doing ultimately is training everyone else how to act around you because you're allowed to. Remember that. You're allowed to. You're allowed to do that. Whether it's a man, a boyfriend, a partner, a husband, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say no, no. And that will then cascade out into other areas of your life as well, where you will have boundaries and you'll start doing things that serve you rather than everybody else. And it's not making you a bad person. It's just self-love. It's having boundaries and it's just saying, this is the level that I'll accept in my life. And anything that goes under that, I'm not having it anymore. Just not doing it because it's not serving me. It's not working for me. So whether that's your training and everything else, or whether it's your relationships, whether it's work, you're sick of this or your finances or business, whatever it is, have boundaries, have levels, and then set them and say, I am sticking to these come what may. That's it. And if
Mm.
people don't like it, remember, you've got one group here, you build a new one here, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And trust me,
mm.
guys, honestly, you do that, you live this way, 6 months from now, you'll be sending me messages going, oh my God, Rob, I've changed my life. I can't believe it. I made one decision, changed my whole life. And some of the stories and messages I could show you, send you, it would blow you, make you cry from people who have changed their lives doing things. And some of them you'd even know, but honestly, the power of the mind and making decisions and sticking to them, unbelievable. Remember what I said. You can't change behavior by changing behavior. You have to start on the inside. Until you do that, you'll do the same habits. You will do the same things. It's just a habit loop pattern, it's called. That's all it is. You'll just do it. We all do it. We all do the same things from getting up in the morning to going to bed at night. You're doing the same things. Pretty much 90% is the same things every day. But you've got to make a change. Start with something small and build up.
Mm.
Do it as a challenge to yourself. It might be like, right, from now on, I'm going to go to bed at 11 or half 10 or 10 instead of half an hour later. Don't go for something big like 3 hours because you won't
Test
do it.
yourself.
But half an hour, make a decision and do it and watch how good you feel in the morning when you did it and you think, oh my God, I did that. Then do it again tomorrow and the day after. And before you know it, that'll just be normal for you. And then you'll start doing other things because now you've got belief in yourself. You're going to see a post that I put up about this actual topic soon, but it's about belief in yourself. Every time you don't follow through on something, you're losing a bit of self-belief. You're letting yourself down, and that's why we get lack of self-belief. We get self-esteem issues and
Mm.
self-worth and self-love issues. Every time we let ourselves down, we lose a little something. But every time you start to follow through on something that you said you're going to do, no matter how small it is, could be like washing up before you go to bed, hoovering up, anything. Every time you follow through on it, you watch how your self-esteem starts to just grow in little amounts. And then before you know it, it's going to be up here. And you watch how you start to interact with people around you. It's just different. People will start 3, 4 months down the line, they'll start commenting on it, going, you've changed a bit. There's something different about you. I'm not sure what it is, but it's really good. And you almost are radiating an energy that I've not seen before, a confidence. And you know what that is? It's just self-worth coming out of your pores. Try it and let me know how you get on.
Even turning up to this call, guys, I know you all,
Yes.
you're good people, and I feel like, what we've spoken about, you deserve to have self-belief, and I deserves a bit of a funny word because when it's like, oh, you deserve this or you deserve that, but I'd love for you all to just even take 10% more self-worth from listening today to realize what you're doing, and I mean that you are all good people, and we all suffer with various things. Me and Rob have spoken about imposter syndrome, all of these different things that normally mean you're probably on the right path to a certain degree with certain elements of this, but just that bit of belief in yourself and what you're pouring into yourself in life and bodybuilding, and that being your own hero sometimes, however woo-woo that is, it's like you're all badass, right? You're all fucking incredible human beings, and you are. You absolutely are. Like, that's aside from bodybuilding. I know you all personally, right? I'm not just
Unique,
saying it.
incredible human beings.
Yeah, and you've turned up today, I know we've done a bit longer than we planned, but you've given your time to talk about mindset. Now, I put this out to thousands of people. You guys have turned up to do it, right? You haven't made excuses to not be here. You've shown up and you've been here. So
Oh my
that
God. On that story, can I just drop a story in there because it's perfect for what you're saying? You guys, this is perfect, right? I worked with, we got asked to go over many moons ago, a guy I was working with, got asked to go over to Liverpool by a boxing manager to work with, do a session with his boxers that he's got his stable of boxers. And he said, and if anyone work, if any of them want to work with you one to one, they can, and that's that. So we went over there and we did a little presentation talking about some of the stuff we've talked about today. And in this boxing gym, you had like European champions, two ex-world champions, you had some British champions, Commonwealth, all this stuff, and then some average, just everyday type of boxers. So there's probably about 30, 40 people in there. We did this talk and everything. And then we said, afterwards, if any of you got any questions, you can come over and have a chat with us. Now we're in Liverpool hardcore, we're in where Everton Football Club plays, and they're very hardcore, guys, these guys. And afterwards, because they were asking us loads of questions like, what the fuck's this all about? What's mindset? What the fuck's that? What the fuck? Why do I need it? All this sort of stuff, right? But afterwards, really interesting, two people took us up on going forward with it, right? And it's like this, reminded me of this is when you said, Sarah, about I put this out to, probably everyone in your followers list, and then 12, 13, 14 people turned up. And I did the same. I put it out on my stories and everything. And a couple of people messaged me, said they're going to come, but I haven't seen their names. But maybe they'll watch the replay or whatever there is. I don't know. But these two guys, when they came forward, one of them was the European champion and the other one was a new British champion, right? I asked them, why did you come? When we started working together, I said, why did you come forward? Because these are two of the the best out of a lot of them that were there. There was a couple of them better, but out of 40 people, these are probably in the top four. So I said, why did you come? And they were sat there, and the European champion guy said, mate, I still don't know what the fuck you do. He goes, because he ain't the brightest tool, but he said, I don't know what the fuck you do. He said, but if you can get me 2% better than what I am, because this guy's unbeaten European champion. He said, if you can get me 2% better than what I am, I'm in. Done. And the other guy, the British champion guy, said, there was a story you said that really resonated with me, but also I want to be where he is, the European champion. And he said, and once he said he were going, I'm going because if he can get better, I can get better. And the interesting thing as well to take from it was that these are two of the best. All the others that needed it more, like the guys who've never won a title, might have had, say, 20 fights, won maybe 12, 13, lost seven. The ones that really needed it didn't want to know. And that's a mindset thing. People I've worked with, Emma Hyman, who I've worked with on and off for 7 years, Kerry Sexton, years, Mark Hector, her partner, Milena took her from basically note to an IFBB pro. All these people, the ones who stayed the longest, are the ones who've done the best. They're the ones who are driven. They're the ones who want that extra mile, who are really in it. So you guys, and this is what Sarah was alluding to before, you've turned up out of all those people, and I'm sure a small percentage of them might have been busy tonight, whatever, that's fine. But there was a lot that made a choice. Oh, I can't be bothered with that.
Yeah.
It's about how bad do you want it? And you're here today. So well done. Kudos to you guys because it's that extra. And if you take, like I said earlier, even just a snippet from today that helps you, then it's a snippet more you've got that you never had before this call. So well done.
Yeah, for an hour and a half of a day, right? Like we have a
Yeah,
lot of time. I know we're bodybuilders and there's a lot of tick boxes. However,
yeah.
it's what's important. Like you say, how bad do you want it? And what I'll end the call on today is how bad do you want it doesn't mean just in the gym, guys. It means every hour of the day, even when you're sleeping, right? What we're populating up here is probably what we're going to dream about. So, how bad do you want it? Comes from the mind. The physique will
Mm.
follow. And that's a message as well.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah, actually, I mentioned you today. I was talking to one of my clients and we was on about you. And you know him very, very well.
He-
Stephen Box.
Oh, stop. He's working with you.
Yeah, yeah, he's my client.
No way.
I,
I
for-
love
I
that.
forgot to mention it to you before as well.
Oh, my first coach, guys, the coach that I was with for like 8 years.
You was with him for years, weren't you?
We
Oh,
just did that. We did an episode not long ago, and he was like, "How the hell did I put up with you asking questions for 8 fucking years?"
About to look,
Ask the right
he's
question.
just messaged me as well. Look, he's told.
Oh, stop. Rob, thank you so much for coming on today. I knew it would be when I reached out to Rob, I was like, I don't know if you would like to do this, but I think it would be super cool. And he was like, for sure. And Rob said, one of my first mentors said to me, if you ever get offered to do something, say yes, because you never know the ripple effect that it will have. And
mm,
hopefully you guys have taken value from the call. If you do want to reach out to Rob about anything in particular, anything specific, I'll of course send you over his Instagram and direct from the podcast being released as this episode as well. But thank you, I'm sure from all of us.
Feel free to give me a follow, guys. It's absolutely fine. I'll follow you back as well. I'm not, just follow me. It'll be
Not
fine.
precious like some people on social media.
I don't care about all that. I'm not.
I love it. And thank you guys for turning up. It means a lot, and I'll continue to try. And how am I going to get better than Rob? I'll try. Thank you.
Just keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you for
Rob.
this.
Thanks, Sarah.
Remember who
Really
you are.
appreciate it. Bye.
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 Bye.